Hi guys, welcome to this week's talky bit. I want to start off by apologising for cancelling the lift yesterday at such late notice. I'm really sorry, but we had a bit of a mix-up and we just couldn't do it. So I'm really sorry. The other couple of things that I wanted to say were that next Saturday, so that's Saturday the 26th of May, between 10 and 2, there is going to be a teddy bears picnic up on the field. So if you want to come, that would be great and we would love to see you there. The other thing that I wanted to let you know is that on Sunday the 27th, so the following day, we are going to be having a lift cafe, and there are lots of people who are going to be there to help, but what we would really love is if you guys could bring parents, guardians, people who look after you, big brothers, big sisters, little sisters. Everybody is welcome. There's going to be lots of cake, there's going to be tea, coffee, squash, there's going to be games, there's going to be a film playing quietly in the back. We're going to be in the small hall in the church hall. So we're going to be in the smaller hall in the church hall, and those patio doors, those back doors will be open. If it's a nice sunny day, we may even put some tables outside as well, give it a real cafe feel. So last few weeks we've been talking about Joseph and his dysfunctional family, and we've come to the bit in the story where we're going to talk about forgiveness and we're going to talk about reconciliation. Now, reconciliation is just a really old-fashioned word for fixing a broken relationship. Okay, so let's say that you and your best friend fall out. A reconciliation is where you become friends again and you fix your friendship. That's all reconciliation really means. Okay. Before we go that though, I want to ask you guys a question. Have you ever been to a family reunion? Okay. As you may or may not know, I grew up with my mum and dad and my little sister in Manchester. But my family's all originally from London, in the London area. And what would happen is every 4 or 5 years, we would go back down to London and we would have a big family reunion. We'd stay with some family. Everybody else would sort of come round to that person's house and we'd see everybody. And it was brilliant because I'd see aunts and uncles that I hadn't seen for 4 or 5 years. I'd see cousins that I hadn't seen for 4 or 5 years. And it was just a great time. There was lots of food, there was lots of hugging and kissing. And sometimes it was really hard to recognise my cousins because they might have changed so much. Or my aunts and uncles didn't recognise me because I'd changed. Today's Bible lesson is something like a family reunion. It's a continuation of the story of Joseph and his brothers, who I'm hopeful that you remember. And you know how he would have dreams and lord it over his big brothers and say, "I'm the greatest," and this really annoyed them. And then his dad showed that he was a favourite by giving him a big wonderful coat with sleeves and lots of colours, and he'd tell tales on his big brothers. And then so they got really fed up with all of this, and then they beat him up, and then they threw him in a pit, and then they went, "Well, we've thrown him in a pit. That's not going to do us any good. Hey, let's sell him to those merchants over there, and we'll make some money off him as well." So this is kind of everything that had happened after he'd been sold into slavery. Okay, so when Joseph arrived in Egypt, a lot of things happened to him. Some good, some not so good. Okay, And what we're going to do is we're going to have a little bit of a quiz just to see how much you know of the story. So I'm going to give you a sentence, and then I want you to go good or bad, okay? And it'll be completely up to you, okay? And when me and Louise come visiting on Thursday, you can tell us how you did. So, Joseph worked in the house of Potiphar, yes, I know, funny name, and was placed over all of Potiphar's wealth. Good, bad. It's good, okay? Because he'd proven that he was trustworthy and good worker and hard worker. Potiphar put him in charge of his entire household, which is really quite cool. Okay, so question number 2. Potiphar's wife told some terrible lies about Joseph to her husband. Good or bad? Yep, that's really bad. Okay. So question number 3. Because of his wife's lies, Potiphar had Joseph thrown into jail. Good thing, bad thing? Yep, you're right, it's a bad thing. However, in prison, the head jailer took a liking to Joseph and placed him in charge of all the other prisoners. Good thing, bad thing? Good thing, yes. Joseph just seemed to be really helpful and useful wherever he went, and people liked him. Well, most people liked him. And then, so he was put in charge over all the other prisoners, and this is a good thing. Okay, so next question. Joseph used his God-given gifts to interpret the dreams of other prisoners. Good thing, bad thing? Yes, it's a good thing. Okay, so there were 2 other prisoners in there with Joseph. One was a bread maker, and one was the guy who held Pharaoh's cup, which sounds like an odd job, but was actually kind of important, because he'd taste the wine, he'd make sure that it was good, he'd do all this kind of fancy stuff, and so he was considered quite important. So they both had dreams, and one had good news and the other had bad news. If you've been keeping up to date with the animation that I've been putting up, you will know what happens next. Okay, so Joseph was stuck in jail for more than 2 years. Good thing, bad thing? I'm going to go with bad thing, because being in jail doesn't strike me as a great thing. So Joseph stuck in jail for more than 2 years, bad. Okay, here we go. The next question. Pharaoh heard that Joseph had the ability to understand dreams. Good thing, bad thing? Good thing. Okay, Pharaoh released Joseph from jail to explain his dreams, to explain Pharaoh's dreams. Good thing, bad thing? Again, I'm going to go with a good thing. And last question. Pharaoh believed what Joseph told him and put him in charge of the entire land of Egypt. Good thing, bad thing? Brilliant thing, good thing. We like that. Okay, so let's see what happens next. Just as Joseph had told Pharaoh the dream he was having meant that there would be 7 years when the harvest would be great and there would be plenty of food, then there would be 7 years when there would be nothing. God was telling Pharaoh to set aside grain during the good years so that there would be plenty of food during the bad years. That is exactly what Pharaoh did. And when the bad years came, there was plenty of grain in Egypt, but all the countries around them were starving. People came from all the surrounding countries to buy grain from Joseph because the whole world was in need of food. Some of those people were Joseph's very own brothers. When his brothers came, Joseph recognized them, but they did not know who he was. After all, it had been many years since they'd seen him, and they probably didn't expect to see him in such a high position of power. Joseph met with his brothers several times without telling them who he was. Finally, he could keep it to himself no longer. He told his brothers, "I'm Joseph! Is my father alive?" But his brothers were speechless. because they were terrified. But Joseph said, "Come closer. I am your brother, the one you sold. Don't worry, and don't be angry at yourselves for selling me into slavery. You see, it wasn't you who sent me here. God has put me here to save people from starving. Now go and tell my father all about the high position I hold in Egypt. Tell him everything you've seen here, but don't take all day. Hurry up and get my father down here." What a happy reunion. And guess what? There were lots of hugs and kisses all around that day. Okay guys, that's the end of this week's talky bit. I hope you guys are all okay. Me and Lou will see you on Thursday afternoon at Lift Visiting. If you have any jokes, please do have them written down so I can collect them, because, you know, my jokes are awful. And I really hope that you can make it to the Teddy Bears picnic on Saturday the 26th and come to Lift Cafe with everybody on Sunday the 27th. Have a great week, guys. God bless. Bye.